Good afternoon. I would like to call this workshop to order at 2:03 p.m. Item number 1 is being moved to March 24th, 26th. We'll move on to item number 2, 26-3590, informational item on the expansion of Eastside Elementary School. And you're ready. Thank you.
Good afternoon, board chair, board members, superintendent. This afternoon, we are going to be sharing a plan to expand Eastside Elementary to a future K-8 school. And Lisa and I are just going to give some background into how some of this started and share some data as well. So we currently looked at some transition data from our elementary school students, 5th grade students transitioning to 6th grade. So we reviewed that with the team to see like what that looked like, areas that we needed to focus on, and that kind of thing. For students that were, in 5th grade, when they transition to middle school, do they stay within our district? So we looked at that. We looked at some of the trends around that. And then we had elementary and middle school principals together. We've met a few times to talk about that data and to come up with some innovative ways to really educate families and provide good communication to families about transitioning to middle school. So one of the things that we did was we created a 5th grade parent survey that we rolled out a couple weeks ago. We've been with principals looking at that data. And for families that, when they're filling out the survey, I'm not sure what I'm doing for middle school, either elementary principals are reaching out to those families, or elementary and middle school principals are reaching out, inviting them to come to a particular school, to tour the school, get information on programs, and so on and so forth. So within some of the conversations that we've had, one of the things that we noticed was Eastside Elementary, when students transitioned, that was the highest number of students that were transitioning out of our public schools came from Eastside. So during some of our meetings, we talked about and problem solved around what can we do to keep these students within Hernando County schools. So that's where some of this plan came from and originated from some of those meetings that we've had. So before moving into the presentation, Lisa's going to share some of the data pieces, and then we'll talk about the plan moving forward.
Okay, so when we looked at fifth graders who are with us in elementary school and stayed with us in a sixth grade classroom somewhere in our district, as a district, we held on to about 88% of our fifth graders going into sixth grade at one of our middle schools. Eastside stood out. Only 78% of Eastside's fifth graders stayed with us for sixth grade middle school. Where did they go? So about 10% of them did go to the charter school on the east side of town. That charter school is made up of their sixth graders. Is 42% of those sixth graders were actually from east side. So we have to look at what are we doing on this side of the county to keep our students within Hernando School District. As you guys know, there's Pineapple Cove was a projected or is a projected charter school out on the east side of the county. Their application with the state has been withdrawn. They were told that it was not going to be recommended to be approved. They are making necessary changes, I guess, and are going to try to submit at the district level. But that's still, on the table as a projected opening of 2027 if they get approved. But we have to do something to keep our kids. We're losing them anyway, so we need to look at all the data, and I think the data is pointing to the K-8 model had the highest retention rate of fifth graders to sixth graders. So looking at that model and trying to do what we can to keep our students within Hernando County schools.
What was the next school, like the second that, do you have the data for all of the schools? Thank you.
I do.
Just curious to see.
Suncoast and Chocochatty. And obviously, Chocochatty is a magnet school, so if they do not get into Challenger, another magnet to a magnet, or a lot of students want to school choice into Powell Middle School, then you see students on that side of the county going to the west side of the county charter school.
Okay, thank you.
Do you think that's because they don't want to go to Powell?
No, they want to go to Powell, and we max out the number of school choice seats that we can at Powell each year under capacity for sure. But if they don't get to go to Powell, and they don't want to go to their zone school, and they don't get into Challenger, then they're choosing the charter school. I think the number was about 17 of our Chocochatty fifth graders last year who didn't get in one of their choices.
What was their percentage in the third school you said? I'm sorry.
Sorry, 78.7%.
And the one behind them?
It was Suncoast was 80.92%.
And where do their students go? Do you know?
It's the same, follows the same as Chocochatty. Yep, Powell or a magnet school, and then they go to charter.
It sounds like we're not doing a good enough job selling our middle schools.
So, and that's the reason why we've had principals together to really talk about what they can showcase within their schools, that marketing piece and that kind of thing. After Mike is done presenting, we can talk about some of those next steps for some of our middle schools. We are probably going to come back to the board with a plan and some ideas that we have for Parrott. But first we wanted to, share this information, get feedback from all of you, and then, work on those next steps. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mike Lasher, principal of Eastside Elementary.
I'm Eric Schwartz, the assistant principal at Eastside.
So just opening up when approached about this and the idea about expanding Eastside through K-8, one of the big things, and we have amazing things happening at all of our schools, amazing programs at all of our schools. I know it's been a topic amongst us as principals. It's been a topic amongst this board. Like, how do we offer these programs where it attracts families, programs that people want to go to? People want their kids to attend this school for this particular program. So that's the vision we have here. When given the opportunity to say, hey, you have a chance to propose something that's going to, one, become a new school in the school district as far as when it comes through, and then attract families. So that's where you see, obviously it doesn't say Eastside Elementary. We wanted to kind of be in the same vein as you see in Pasco County when they're reopening older schools. They open them as academy of whatever it may be, whatever the focus is of that school. So we really wanted to focus on something, and they're going to kind of get into that. But the Eastside Academy of Leadership and Innovation is the kind of proposed name for this. So when you see that, that's kind of where we're at. The proposed transition of Eastside Academy of Leadership and Innovation to a pre-K-8 model is designed to strengthen student achievement, improve continuity of learning, and expand across leadership development and college and career readiness for our students. This phase expansion aligns with district priorities for academic rigor, student engagement, and long-term readiness. So this is just a summary. We want to propose to move our school from a pre-K through 5 to a pre-K-8 model. This would be a phase-in expansion, so this is not a right-away jump to K through 8. This is keeping our 6th graders next year, adding the next 6th grade class the year after that, and by 28-29, we'll be adding our 8th grade. So this is a 3-year phase-in. So by 28-29, it would be a full K through 8 model, or pre-K through 8 model. This allows for deliberate planning around staffing, curriculum development, and faculty readiness. It ensures continuity of high-quality instruction across all of our grade levels. We're going to emphasize at this school college and career readiness in the middle grades, which you'll see in this presentation. This is also going to integrate career exploration, leadership development, experiential learning. You know, one of the things we realize is a lot of our families are choosing some of these charters because of the opportunities they have through these field trips and through these different learning experiences outside of the classroom. We're also going to align a career and technical pathways with the DOE frameworks, as you're going to see. It's going to create a seamless and developmentally appropriate transition from elementary to middle grades. And the biggest thing is expanding those opportunities for academic rigor, career awareness, and leadership growth amongst our students. So the rationale, the data that they have presented to you shows that we have people that are leaving. We have people that are leaving, but then they're coming back for high school. So this is going to allow us to continue that school's culture. Before we had got to Eastside, we had a lot of kids choicing out of our school. We had the data that showed that. I don't have that in front of me, but I can get that for you. We know now that those students are no longer choicing out. So they trust us and they trust the culture that we've built. And students benefit from a constant expectations, instructional approaches, and relationships during critical developmental years all the way through 8th grade. Improve academic outcomes. Research supports pre-K-8 models as effective learning because it reduces all that transition-related learning loss and improving student engagement. In other words, when we get those kids in 6th grade, we've had them since they were kindergarten. We know those kids. We know their strengths. We know their weaknesses, and we have really built-in relationships with them. Enhance college and career readiness. We are going to introduce students to structured career exploration and CTE experiences at an earlier age, and allows them to make those informed decisions prior to high school. When I started doing my research and talking to, I've spoken to some high school CTE teachers, and they all say they wish that kids had some of those exposures to their pathways in middle school and even elementary school to really make that informed decision when they get to high school. And the last one is, you guys all know, Brooksville's, very community driven. When you talk about, you have 5 schools, all purple and gold, all leopards. They will remain with one school, these families, and in their community for a longer period, which will only strengthen the partnerships and engagement. When I say partnerships, it's strengthening family partnerships, student partnerships, and the community partnerships, which is the biggest piece, as you'll see. So one of the things we did this summer at our leadership conference, we talked about why Eastside or why Suncoast or why every school, every principal had to come up with a list as why. A lot of you guys were in the room for that. So the question is why, right? If we're opening up a school of choice that's going to allow some opportunities, we want parents to know that answer, why they chose to come to Eastside Academy of Leadership and Innovation. Eastside Academy of Leadership and Innovation is a school of choice that provides students with authentic learning experiences through hands-on instruction and purposeful field experiences. More than a school, we will be a launchpad for future-ready learners. We will have purpose-built pathways that you rarely find at the elementary level, so we're going to tie in elementary to these pathways that we're going to talk about. Real-world learning experiences that mirror high expectations in middle school and high school, and a strong bridge between curiosity today and career readiness tomorrow. So there are going to be 3 major components that we're going to talk, and again, this is just a visionary kind of like overview of what the programs that we're going to offer here at this academy. The first is a school-wide focus on leadership and career readiness. all the way from pre-K all the way through 8th grade. All of our students will be taking a career-focused classroom. That is a state requirement now. Many of the middle schools do it through social studies and things like that, but we will have a course that's dedicated to that. Sorry, I want to take my notes. All right, so we're going to develop confident leaders from day one. Instruction supports leadership development and early career readiness through meaningful roles and applied learning. As you guys know, Eastside Elementary is a Leader in Me school. Hernando High School is a Leader in Me school. Parrott Middle School is a Leader in Me school. So to be able to have those, we are going to run Leader in Me through this leadership and career readiness course. We will also be running our Zello platform, which is a platform that district uses that focuses on career exploration, will also be done in here as well. Student leadership roles embedded across all of our grade levels. We're going to have career exploration through project-based learning and stimulations. Collaboration, communication, and problem solving is daily practice in all grade levels. And this is the biggest thing to me, and I think the biggest attractor for parents. Our students will learn to lead themselves, lead others, and lead ideas. You know, when we get done with these pathways, we want our students to be meaningful members of this community. And I know we're only talking about 8th graders here, but when you do it the right way, 8th graders can be those meaningful members of the community and being able to lead ideas out there. So the first pathway I want to talk about is the agri-science technology. So I know that Hernando has agriculture, and so does Parrott. Parrott and Hernando, Parrott focuses on the animals. This is really focused on that technology side of it. We are in a rural part of town. I don't know if you guys saw the cow that jumped on our campus last year, so that's evident. And it did not chase me, by the way, but that's a whole story for another day. But I wanted to kind of provide you guys with a definition. I didn't want to put it up here because it's too lengthy, of kind of agri-science technology, what it is. Agri-science technology prepares students for future careers by combining science, technology, and problem-solving skills in areas like sustainability, engineering, and data analysis, and environmental systems. So in other words, we are going to prep on that technology side of agri-science and agriculture. And I really think this is an untapped resource for us, and we could have a lot of partnerships of people in the community that will want to reach out and get involved in this type of pathway. What they'll be learning about? They'll be learning about gardening, sustainability, and food systems integrated into instruction. Students learning about hydroponic gardens, as you see on the picture here. Students learning about sustainability, farm-to-table food systems, all of those things, and environmental sustainability as well. STEM concepts taught through agriculture-based investigations, environmental responsibility and stewardship developed early. So these students will be learning about these concepts at an early age. So when they get to that middle school component, they're really going to be hands-on in there. And then we'll be connecting science, math, and leadership through authentic experiences. So that's our first major pathway, is the agri-science technologies. Our second pathway is our Space Florida technologies. We're one of the few Space Florida districts. I think it's like 13 Space Florida districts. Mr. Pinner could correct me if I'm wrong, but we're one of the few. And right now, we don't really have that K through 8 focus on that. So when we talk about those Space Florida technologies, it's not just aerospace, it's more the technology side on it, and how we get our kids learning about technology and STEM and these careers that, honestly, I know it sounds cliche, we say it all the time, kids are learning about careers that aren't even made yet, but can never be more true than it is today. So we're going to inspire the next generation of innovators. Students are going to explore innovation through hands-on STEM experiences connected to Florida's aerospace and space science industries. Introduction to aviation, space, and aerospace engineering concepts. Design challenges, simulations, and problem-solving activities. Students will learn how to code drones. They'll be flying drones. They'll be learning all of those things in Space Florida Technology Pathway. Encouraging curiosity, creativity, and critical thinking. And early exposure to high-demand STEM careers that we know that's going to be beneficial for our students in the long run. And Mr. Schwartz is going to talk next about the elementary connection.
So for the elementary connections, very similar to the middle school. We try to, big thing with doing this, making it K through 8, is that we can nicely align the elementary with the middle school. So that way it builds that nice pathway between them. So that way during this process, they'll have the opportunity to build independence, responsibility, and collaboration through hands-on learning in our ag space, aerospace, and the STEM pathways. So this will give the kids the ability to explore these career pathways in a more developmentally appropriate setting for each one of them, especially when we start at the elementary level. We already have 2 of our specials kind of closely aligned to it. We have a science special and we have a makerspace. So we can certainly move to make those more down those pathways a lot easier for the kids, but give them more of a focus. And that'll make it a lot easier for them to align to the middle school pathways going down the line.
One of the things we want to do when coming up with this presentation is how can we connect this to our Hernando County School District strategic plan and those 5 priorities that we have. So priority 1 is student success. So hands-on real-world learning experiences support academic growth, leadership development, and early career readiness for all students. So in our program, we're focusing on, everything we do is focused on student success. Priority 2 is talent management. Innovative instructional pathways are going to empower our educators to collaborate, grow professionally, and deliver engaging, future-focused instructions. In short, teachers are going to want to work at a school like this. Teachers are going to want to be involved in those hands-on learning and creating those engaging lessons. Priority 3 is safe and healthy learning environment. Engage in student-centered learning environments promote belonging. When students feel belonging, the schools most generally feel safer. Responsibility and positive school culture. Again, when we go back to a school culture like this, there's going to be a focus on healthy learning environment, and it's going to be a positive school culture. I combine the last 2 priorities on community connection and responsible stewardship, and I kind of already talked about it a little bit, but building those partnerships, that's going to be key. And when you talk about key, it's going to be key for Mr. Schwartz and I to make those connections and sell this school and this concept and how we can change and really build some connections that weren't there, in the farming industry, in the space industries for those younger grade levels. So partnerships, purposeful field experiences, and thoughtful use of resources will only strengthen community ties while supporting long-term planning and fiscal responsibility. And Mr. Schwartz will talk about the implementation plan.
So the the phased-in plan, like Dr. Lasser said earlier, is a 3-year plan starting next year, with us first looking at our current population, which is 780, and then kind of keeping about probably around 100 kids, hopefully, of our kids, and staying there. So that would make it about 880 starting next year. And the whole purpose of it, once again, is we want to build those experiences, want those kids to be bought into some of these programs we're going to have, but also do those field trips, do those field experiences, and start offering them the first year right away. Do one each quarter, taking them to different things around the different career paths. And then, once again, year 2, same thing, roll up those kids again. So now we have another 100 kids, we'll be up to 980. And then once again, looking at our pathways, going further down the CTE line, and then once again, offering those kids those experiences that are a little bit more specific to those career pathways they're starting to choose from. And then that 8th grade year, so the 3rd year, so 28, 29, adding another 100 kids, puts you about 1,080 kids. Our capacity, once the building is all the way complete, should be around 1,200. So we still have a little bit room of growth, so once again, we can go positive or negative in that direction. But once again, we'll be fully aligned and having a full K through 8 model or pre-K through 8 model, having all the pathways, having all the CTE programs, and giving those kids those opportunities to go and see different ones throughout this entire journey before they get to high school. So that way they can kind of then narrow down their pathway a little bit more once they get to high school, but giving them those opportunities to see those different ways, not just picking them when they get to high school and then once they're in high school not liking it and then having to start all over again. Seeing it in middle school gives them that better opportunity to maybe pick a path before even getting there, or seeing different ones they might want to advance even more into high school. So that's kind of, and once again, giving them even more field experience for that 8th grade year as well.
And our last kind of overview is just the outcomes that impact. Obviously, because our kids are our kids from pre-K through 5th, that middle school readiness, they're going to be ready for these programs because they're going to have a pathway-centric learning all the way throughout. Career-aware students before high school. Mr. Schwartz just talked about it. And I talked about how I've already spoken to a lot of CTE teachers, and they wish they would be able to be exposed to some of these things. I use the example, automotive. I talked to the auto shop teacher, Hernando, and he said, a lot of those kids will leave after the first year of auto. They don't really want to do it. Well, in our agri-sciences, part of the pathway when we look at, is eventually having small engine repair, because that's part of agri-sciences. Those kids are going to know they want to get involved in auto shop, those type of things. Expanding opportunities without changing our school identity. You know, these kids really, on this side of town, it's different. You know, I kind of already talked about that. When we talk about the purple and gold, the leopard nation, you know, this is a school that will be able to be housed in there. That school identity keeps all the way throughout. But as they go throughout, while keeping that same identity, they don't have to leave schools to go to the Kennedy Space Center. They don't have to leave schools to go see how sustainability works on a farm. They're going to get it right here in our school. And then the last piece, and I kind of said this, and I started with this, I'll end with this. We want our students to be leaders not only in the school, but in the community. Through our Leader in Me program, through our career exploration, we want students to start to make those meaningful partnerships, and we want our school and our school district to make those meaningful partnerships. And it starts with our students. I don't have an end slide, sorry. I don't have like a thank you slide. That's it.
Okay, Mike, this is a no-go. Quick question. What's your current enrollment?
780.
It is 780.
Yes.
And how many VPK programs are you supposed to have next year?
Next year, we are going to have 2 VPK, and we already have 2 ESC pre-K, so that'll be 4 total.
Okay, so the building facility itself will still accommodate
Yes, ma'am.
those.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Johnson?
Yeah, thank you. I guess I'm making the assumption that you want to use the new classrooms for the 6, 7, 8 grades.
So we're getting 20 new classrooms, so not all of them, no. We would actually just be one floor. The top floor would most likely honestly be 5th and 6th grade. So if you're looking at keeping at 100 classrooms, you only need really 5 rooms. And so, yeah, 100 classrooms. No, we don't need 100 classrooms, guys. Sorry. Mr. Penderbaugh fell out of his chair, so no, that's not what's happening. We only have 20 classrooms. 100 students would only take about 5 classrooms. So yes, they would be in the new building.
And if I remember correctly, Mr. Lafitte had become the first farm, a recognized farm in his school system a few years ago when he had the program
At Pine Grove?
at Pine Grove.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so would you be looking at some point, hopefully, to produce produce that's sold back to the school system?
Yes, that's part of the agri-science.
You're going to keep
pathway.
10% off for the school board to enjoy?
Yeah.
I enjoyed his 28 varieties of lettuce and the strawberries when he had that in full swing.
You could be our financial manager when we do that.
You got it. Thank you.
Mr. Rodriguez?
I think it's exciting. I know that we're a Space Florida school district, and I've sat in on with Karen Hoffman and all of our meetings that we've had and what we're implementing with our CT program and all through our high school, and to give the students the opportunities to be able to go and work in the aerospace industry. So I think starting at a young age and implementing it from small all the way through, that just is a pathway for success. So I think that sounds like a really amazing opportunity, and I also think it lets us continue to keep the students, because once they're already there and they have their friends and they've already formed their relationships with their teachers and they enjoy what they do, I think naturally, come 6th grade, they're able to stay 7th grade, 8th grade, and we don't lose we don't have the ability to lose them somewhere else. I think that it's just a seamless transition and that they stay. And then naturally after 8th grade, they pick the high school and they go to whatever school that they're zoned for.
Yeah.
So I think it's a win-win for everybody, more so a win for the student. So I think that's imperative. I think that is the thing that I look forward to, is that the expanded opportunities that the student will get from being there through all those years.
Yeah, thank you for that feedback.
Thank you.
That's what we want.
I would
right.
like to see you continue that through high school.
Yeah. I have lots of questions.
Sure.
So I'll rattle them off, and then in case you're going to answer these, you can
Sure.
continue. Obviously, love the idea. My question is, what's Parrott's number going to look like when we take those students from Parrott?
Do you want me to answer some of these along the way if I can?
How do you want to do it? I just don't want to get lost to where I don't get to ask all my questions, because
Okay.
sometimes board members all chime
Okay,
in.
so just real quick for that
Go ahead.
one. I've already met with Dr. Clifford and some of the team. We're going to be really doing some good marketing for Parrott. And he does a great job when it comes to that communication and marketing piece at his school, and we're going to really even amp that up more. But we're also looking at a plan for the 27-28 school year that we'll be bringing back to the board. Again, I started with us being innovative and thinking outside the box in order, like, we, have to really step up our game, right? And be competitive when it comes to keeping students in our district. So we have a lot of outside the box thinkers. We've already met, and once we have a plan in place for Parrott, we'll bring it to the board as well.
Okay.
But one of the things, that I want to say in regards to that question is, yes, Parrott's numbers may go down a little bit in sixth grade, but we're also capturing those students that would have went to a charter school, and we're increasing as a whole in our district by capturing those students back. So yes, Parrott may go down, but our numbers within our district are, hopefully going to increase with this plan.
Okay. With that, what are we going to do about sports? Because that's going to be a big thing, that's the most exciting thing for a lot of kids going into middle school. And with the sports question goes along with when you have middle school, most of the time they have to dress out. You don't have a closed gymnasium, right? You don't have locker rooms. So like all of those things.
So because
Go
this
into
is
play.
going to be a school of choice, and Eastside in this moment does not have athletics, those students can play anywhere, which, sounds okay, but we have another planning meeting coming up where we're looking at what we can do to problem solve around that for next year so that those students can take part in Parrott's athletics. So we have a planning meeting next week, and we're getting into all of the details to be able to make that work.
I just worry about the size of the teams, and children not having the ability to play because there's so many. Now you have 2 schools at one, so I'm trying out to play basketball and I don't have the opportunity to play because of the size.
There's a possibility. So they have that option to play at other schools because it is a school of choice, or they have, that option for Parrott. So
I just think with the travel, those are all things that you have to also think. It's going to be hard for parents to take them to, say, Spring Hill
Sure.
to come play.
Right. So we're problem solving around trying to make that work as best as we can. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but I can tell you that, some of Parrott's athletic teams, the majority of those students are from other schools, charters or private or.
Yeah, Parrott for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then admin, are we going to be increasing the admin at that school? Most K-8 schools have, the assistant middle school, assistant elementary.
Not for year one because this is transitioning. So with adding, anywhere from 50 to 100 students, we would maintain the administrative staff that we have.
Okay, Mr. Pender, did you want to chime in?
Once it becomes a K-8, a full K-8, it would go to the staffing plan and how many, students are there overall. We'd follow the same staffing plan that we would for other K-8s. But expanding to 6th grade would not, for next year, it's not an impact and probably wouldn't be an impact. I would have to look to see if it's an impact at all, actually, with the number that they would have and making it a K-8. But if it is, it would be an additional allocation of some sort, teacher on assignment, assistant principal, something like that.
Are we having to add a building on in the future? What's the future look like with that? Every year that we're adding, are we going to add additional building
We
to
don't have any
accommodate?
plans for additional
No, I
buildings.
No, so it,
For right
right,
now,
what we
they
have,
can-
can we
yes.
go all the way to 8th grade is what I'm
Yes.
saying? Can we
Yes.
accommodate?
And in the current structure, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So that
And the
3-year
cafeteria,
plan-
new cafeteria will,
Yeah, the new cafeteria for sure, yes.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
And if I can go back to the other, we did have a K-8 that didn't have Floyd, when it was a K-8, it didn't have a gym, never had a gym. It had basketball courts. And I think they had a basketball team and some other sports, and did some similar sharing of sports activities and things. But again, it's not ideal. I mean, if we were going to build a K-8 and it was going to cost us, $100 million to build a K-8 somewhere, ideally it would have a gym and all that inside of it. But with progressing this way, and Floyd was a K-8, so kind of leaning on that and what they had and how it worked, we have some history with that and building on that to improve it for the east
I think
side.
just having a good plan in place, when you go to sell this to parents is going to be imperative. Also, maybe even offering a bus to pair it after school, because
We're
right
talking
after
about
school.
all of
We're
those
actually-
things.
That's
Okay.
one of the things that's definitely on the table, because I
Yes.
believe it could be a huge barrier, like you're saying, for sure.
Yeah, as a parent, I would.
And some of that, as the team develops this, we have to problem solve through, it might even be a timing issue of school start, some school start times to make them align. But they are working through all of that and problem solving around that, what we can do next year. And then as 7th and 8th moves on, we'll have a better
Yes.
plan.
And then I had one more thing. So, Eastside Academy of Leadership and Innovation, the name. Wanted to know where that came from. I just feel like it's a mouthful. I like it, but on the other side, I'm kind of like, it's a lot.
Like, what's the acronym for it?
Yeah, kind of.
So, I mean, where that came from, and again, this is nothing, this is all proposals, right? So that came from is just, how can we show that this is something that's different? It's not just Eastside K through 8, right? We're offering pathways. And really, when I said what pathways are we offering, Mr. Schwartz and I toyed with the idea, Eastside Academy, naming it after the programs that's there. But sometimes programs do change, right? Throughout at schools. And then you have a school that has a name with a program that's really not up to par where it should be naming, right? But when you look at leadership and innovation, that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about a Leader in Me school. We're talking about, a career class that's going to get these kids exposure to these different pathways. And the 2 career pathways we're talking about are very innovative when it comes to our school district, because they are not repetitive on what we're offering. Even though other schools have agriculture, we're talking about focusing on a completely different side of it. And then the Space Florida, as Ms. Bodnick said, we haven't really focused on that in the early ages. So that's where that came from. But yes, I agree. We were messing around with what could the acronym be, that type of stuff. And this is all proposals, and this is something that we can definitely work on. And I just think that when you see what other school districts are doing now, when they're reopening schools, they are calling them academies. They're all calling me something different, because
I don't mind the academy.
Yeah, no, I know that. Yeah, it's just
Academy,
it's a wordy.
The leadership and innovation. They're
Yeah.
just going to call it Eastside anyway.
Yeah, they're gonna call it Eastside anyway. Correct.
It's just a mouthful. But I mean,
Eastside
Challenger
salad.
K-8, they don't say Challenger
School of
K-8,
Science.
School of,
Yeah, you're
you
right.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I like having sometimes just the initials too.
But we
I'm
can't have
sorry.
2 EK8s in the district either, right?
That's
what
true.
Mr. Prentice-
Miss Rodriguez, sorry.
That was okay. EALI. So people get used to
Yep.
EALI. Yeah, it's a mouthful a bit if you say it. But I do like the name. I like the name because it sounds to me more prestigious. It sounds more formal, and I think it explains a little bit more of. So sometimes longer, you'd come up with whatever, whether it be EALI or just Eastside, like you said, something will give. But I do like the formality of the name. I agree with. I agree with the sports as far as if we don't have it there, it's going to be hard.
Sure.
So we do have the property to put a gym. That's one thing that we're not short of out there. So I think that as
Correct.
time goes on, it would be imperative to have a gym on that location. K-8 Winding Waters, they have all their sports, of course, and the only thing that we're lacking, I think the difference would be a gym. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the field.
And the fields. Yeah.
But there's space for
Yeah.
fields out there.
We have the property. I've walked it with you umpteen times, and at least we do have that. I think that's a lot cheaper to put a gym and put the fields, and to make that school house that many more students, and to do all of this opportunities. I think it's a perfect plan opposed to building a new school. So I definitely think we hit the mark on capturing more students, having being able to keep them and also, but the only thing, like I said, the caveat I'm not liking is the sports.
Yes.
And I know this is going in phases. Each year we're adding a grade, so we do have the time. But I think it would be nice for us to start considering what to do there, and that way we have a vision.
Yeah, and I would agree with both of you. As you guys know, I've been a coach in this district for 20 years. I'm a sports dad. I believe that the opportunity sports give is more than just athletics. It does trickle into the classroom. I'm a firm believer in that.
Team
Yeah,
building.
correct.
It's
So, and I really agree with the assumption you just said, that where we have time. When we're talking about phasing in, there could be a plan, with you guys' involvement on how to do that. But yeah, we're working on it now. We already have
Right.
a lot of these ideas you guys have said. We've already kind of talked about.
And when I came on the
behind the
board,
scenes.
there was a lot of things that I felt like could have had a vision board. And I think a vision board with any of you that put that together, you know where you're going. And I think that that's really important for us to right now set up a vision and come up with something. And you can always tweak it, you can always change it as you go. But I think we really need to have something that we know that we're working towards, and that way we have a goal, because that school does need to have the sports, because it's going to be hard to get them bused to another school and bust back. And I just think that's going to become
Well,
tricky.
And even PE, middle school PE, sharing PE with the elementary PE. I'm just trying to envision who's going to get, the area to do your sports or your class, so to speak.
Yeah, that'll come down to, master scheduling and that kind of thing.
Like K-8
So,
does it.
Yeah, they would,
Yeah.
they would have PE. Yes.
How
Our outside pavilion is actually be bigger than what we had. It's going to be a covered full basketball court with 4 extra courts on the side, which we only had 2 on the side prior. So it is a very large covered pavilion area, and we also have field space as well to kind of logistics on that. So we definitely have talked about that for sure, because that's a definite barrier as well. You said
Right.
for bigger kids and things.
Yep.
And the nice thing is the phase in allows for that to be a lot more flexible, because you're only talking
One grade.
6th grade, and really one class at a time.
Right.
We don't have enough kids. We won't have enough kids, even with 100 kids, to have more than one PE at one time. On there as well.
What's our projection on a gym possibly? Mr. Pender, when would we be looking? What year would we look at that?
Building would have to be, building a gym or something, we'll have to look at property and what locations, but we say we have a lot of time, but it's not really a lot of time if, you want to build a building. So we would have to start looking at that once we have a go-ahead and a firm concept and explore what's possible. Right, Brian? Look at him.
And as a
Just nod your head, Brian.
as a member of this board, I definitely would know that each year you're adding a class on. So if we were to start now, Mr. Reagan, and brainstorm and come up with that vision to know what we would be doing, because if we don't now and we wait, all of a sudden the school's going to be full and we're going to be up against trying to figure out what we're going to do for sports. Or a lot of parents that are sports minded and that have athletes, they're not going to want their kids to go.
There is a group working on this, correct?
Yes.
Be assured that they are going to put something together for us that's going to be a workable plan. We don't need to tell you what to do. You know what to do. Let's keep moving forward and
And I think
put your capital money request in the way you would any way, shape, or form normally do. It will happen.
Well, whatever.
Mr. Johnson wants to chime in. Sorry.
Yeah, hi. I by the way, I like the acronym ESALID, SALID, but that's ID, but that's aside from the point.
ESALID?
I know that last year when I checked with Ralph Leach, we spend $100,000 in fuel for the students on the east side of the county to go to Hernando High School and Parrott. This comes into play, but we can cut that in half, so it'll free up some other money in different ways. I've been in favor of having a middle and high school out on the east side of the county. As people know, I feel like I get tired of talking to people with deaf ears. So this is a great partial solution to that. In fact, I wouldn't even mind seeing that school go up to the 9th grade, and then on the other piece of property have a high school at 10, 11, and 12. It's just that would be down the future lanes too. I would go. I'm very pleased to learn about this.
Ms. Rodriguez.
Are we on the board to be able to ask questions? Is that what we're here for? Would you say?
Yes.
So if we're on the board to be able to ask questions, there's a reason that we're sitting here. There's a reason that we're elected. There's a reason for us to be able to understand what's going on. So for my other board members, the reason I'm asking these questions about a gym and about what it looks like and about the vision in the future, not that I don't think that they're not capable and that they don't have that in mind, but these are all questions we need to sit here and talk because it's called a workshop. So that's why I bring this up. I bring it up not because I think that they're not capable, but because I need to have this dialogue so that we can know and constituents can hear, and as they're tuning in, that they can hear kind of the process and what we're looking at and what the future holds. But as a board member, I will ask these questions. It is my duty. It is my obligation. I do need to know, and the constituents have that right too.
And having a ballpark of the number of what it's going to cost,
Yes.
like in the future.
I
is
have
important
sat on
to
this
know.
board with Mrs. Duval and the other board members. I've came in where we didn't have strategic plans and we didn't have vision boards on many things. So I'm sorry if it's offending you and you think that I need to let it go and they know what they're doing, so just be quiet. I'm not going to do that. It is my duty to sit here and to ask these questions and to be informed. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Pender?
And that's why we're bringing it forward now, is because as we talk about this school and develop it, we want the board to know and be involved in the process that we're doing. And we're also going to have to be reaching out to parents to kind of see their interest in this pretty quickly. So as we move forward, that's why we brought it forward, so that the board, we could get some consensus from the board about moving forward with this, so that, you know, we're not sending out parent surveys about making Eastside a K-8 and the board doesn't know. I don't think that would be healthy. So that's what we're here for, is to bring the concept forward and see if we have consensus to move forward with what we're going to look at doing.
And having a discussion.
Yes.
Thank you.
Can I have one more suggestion, or add one more suggestion? When you start working with your innovative projects, if you can maybe create a project to deter the birds from the electric poles. at your
That's why
school?
this actually came about. Is there's the hidden meaning behind the agri-science technology is for someone to design something to get rid of the 100.
Yeah, right.
But those are protected birds, by the way. Actually,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I want
Mr.
them.
Reagan
I want them to stop flying into your power poles.
Yes.
So, all right, Mr. Pender. Anything further? Do you need to ask for a consensus of the board, or
I think I have, I don't, Ms. Bonzik, you didn't say anything, but I
is everything good? Everybody
pretty
we're
good.
good moving forward?
I'm good with it.
Eastside Academy of Leadership and Innovation. All right.
Eastside LI.
I'm all about all K-8s. I think K-8s are the way to go.
They are.
They don't, when you transition them from kindergarten, fifth, and they hit fifth grade, and then they go to middle school, I don't know what happened to our kids. Our kids go, wah, wild time, and then they calm back down in high school. It used to be opposite. It used to be ninth grade, but now it's
an
that-
easier
that little-
transition.
That little middle school section is, they
And as a parent, I've had 3 in a K-8. And speaking from a parent's point of view, I love it. It's nice.
Yeah. You have a good thing going over there at Eastside, so.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if there's any group of people to make this happen, it's this team right here. So I'm happy that they're leading this and moving forward, and we're excited. We're all excited for this
I
opportunity.
can't wait to see the videos.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of them.
Videos.
We have a whole planned out media launch, so you'll see them.
So thank
So
you.
we
Thank you
will be
all.
Sharing, Eastside will be sharing this information. We'll be communicating as a district, informing parents so that we can, and they can plan accordingly when it comes to numbers, so.
And Dr. Laster, I love your energy. You always
you.
have such energy. And I know that this will be a good project for you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
And the board looks forward to hearing more about Parrot and the future
Absolutely. Yes,
for our middle schools.
yes.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And at this time, we'll move on to agenda item number 3, 26-3539. Presentation of Resolution R26-006, Jackson Property and Ed Plant Survey 6.3 by Mr. Reagan. And Mr. Lipsy, welcome.
Good afternoon, board members, Madam Chair, Superintendent Pender and Board Council. We're here to, can y'all hear me? Okay, to present, it's on the desktop, Jim, a resolution and a Ed Plant survey revision for disposal of a piece of property off Citrus Way. I believe it's called the Jackson property. So we'll get the slideshow started here. Okay. So we do have several pieces of vacant property that the district owns. What I have listed here is the property that is not contiguous to existing property. We have a little lot here on Croom Road, which I guess technically it is contiguous to the old transportation building, but it's not really contiguous to a school. The property, the Jackson property here is the 1 acre parcel that we're here today to present. Lake Lindsay's 39 acres more or less out off of Lake Lindsay Road. McKeithen Road, we have approximately 80 acres there and a small lot on the corner of Oak and Bell Avenue across from Hernando High. We also have some property like West Side has some land, but it joins our property, and we feel like some of these sites, there's some out at Weeki Wachee and Winding Waters and other places, Floyd, that can be used for future development of that campus. So I did not list those. Yes, ma'am.
That's what I was going to ask you. That list that you just named, Floyd, Weeki Wachee, and Eastside, are those the only vacant parcels adjoining the schools, or are there more?
There's probably more. I would have to do a thorough search to see what is technically like, because some of that's like separate parcels, but it's, contiguous, so we may not think in our minds that it's separate, but legally on paper it could be. But I just happen to know those because I had experience.
How much is by Eastside, do you know?
East Side, actually, I'm not aware of any extra property. Now, I do know the county offered at one time, and it never went anywhere. They brought up the property to I believe that would be the east. When you're going into the school, it's on the right. It's an old oxidation pond, so there would be environmental issues to mitigate. I don't know, it's land, but what that would cost to mitigate, but it would be, contiguous and a spot for some kind of expansion. But the fact that it, was an oxidation pond for many, many years.
When you said Fox Chapel?
Fox Chapel, I know there's some property there on the left-hand side, I believe. No, I think that's right, ma'am. J.D. Floyd.
J.D. Floyd has property.
Yes,
I didn't know Fox Chapel had
Yeah.
property.
I think it's like part of it's just some empty land there by the baseball field.
Yeah, it's a small piece of land that's not fenced. I mean, it's ours. It's contiguous. I don't think it's across the street at Fox Chapel that I know of. But I think what I'm hearing is the board would be interested to see other locations. So if you can find out where we have land that is not already, you can identify whether it's legally another parcel.
Right.
But really, I think what everyone's looking for is there land that's not within our fences right now that we can develop if it's undeveloped or an empty lot or something like that?
Looking like at Lake Lindsay, you're saying we have 39 acres. We could possibly put up a small school there, couldn't we?
We had brought that to the board at one time about a year or two ago.
Is that developable? I mean,
It is. There's a small portion in the back that's on the lake that's in a floodplain, but it is developable.
But
There's some issues
so
with
we wouldn't
adjoining.
want to. So the only property you're looking to dispose of is the Jackson property.
For today, that being that's the lowest hanging fruit, I guess would be the word to use, and the easiest. There's some issues. I'll walk us through them that have to be dealt with, and I think we were going to do this as a trial project just to see how it goes before I think that was.
Yeah, this is just a list of vacant properties that are not attached to a school or an area that is there for right now. It's not all inclusive, all property we own. These are just lists of non-contiguous pieces.
And when we spoke about the Lake Lindsay parcel, I think we had also discussed, well, we discussed a few things with that. With putting a school there, we would not have room for sports.
Right.
And so that, once again, it makes it difficult to have a school out in that direction with no way to transport
Yeah.
them anywhere else to have sports. And then we had looked at, I think, Lake Lindsay proposing possibly getting rid of it opposed to doing something with it, if memory
Yes,
serves me
ma'am.
well.
Those have all been discussed. So.
Yeah.
And I think an elementary would be probably the only school that really you would, yes, ma'am. So I'll move on to the steps, and Ms. Mokler worked with me on this, did a lot of research, and I thank her for her help with this. She looked at statute and board policy and all that, and kind of came up with some steps here that we have to go through if we're going to dispose of any property. The first step is required by DOE is board approval of an ed plant survey that says that, and a resolution that says the property's unnecessary for educational purposes, and that has to be done in the ed plant survey amendment. So that will, if y'all want to move forward with this, that will be coming to y'all in a future meeting. That was attached to this agenda item if you want to look at the wording of it. And once the DOE approves the ed plant survey, then we would do a board resolution. Ms. Mokler prepared a draft of that, and that's also attached to the agenda items, but that has to come at a separate meeting. It was determined that they couldn't be done simultaneously the way the law is written. So the next meeting would be the resolution that basically authorizes Mr. Pender to authorize me, I guess, or somebody to do what's in the best
Mr.
interest
Reagan, what
of
are
the
the costs
district.
associated with the ed plant survey?
It's free. There's no cost with that. The ed plant survey and the resolution was done in-house by Caroline, so there's no cost to that. So, so the step 3, and this is where it kind of gets a little sticky. This one's kind of was a trial balloon. Is charter schools. There is some language in statute that you have to offer it to charter schools, and there's different interpretations. And Ms. Mokler determined that we can talk about that in another slide, I think, on this particular property, but that is something the council has to look at those laws and see, do we have to offer it to a charter school or how that looks. And then the 4th step, and this is, I guess, when we would start incurring costs, is appraisals. The Florida statute that governs all this recommends appraisals, and typically 2 independent appraisals would determine the best, value. And you can also, do a public auction or do a realtor-led sale. But anyway, you want to do an appraisal, at least one on something. We'll talk about that in another slide coming up too. But you want to know what it's worth before you sell it. And then the 5th step is this actual sale. You can use a realtor, private negotiations, the public bid process. The statute says we have to take diligent measures to dispose of it only in the best interest of the public. So whatever we do has to be in the best interest of the public. And then the fund disbursement, once we get the money, doesn't mean we can spend it on anything we want to. The statute says and that it has to be deposited back into the fund source for which the property was purchased with. And if you are not able to determine that, then it can only be used for capital outlay projects. So if you know where it came from, then you can go back to that fund, or you're supposed to put it back. If you don't, it's capital outlay projects only. So we'll talk specifics now about this property. This property was sold for $1 to the district in 1906. So we've been stewarding this land for that long. As you can see here, the deed is handwritten. Little bit of history there. I found that interesting. The parcel is landlocked. As you can see in the photo, there's no access. It's in the middle of some farmland, and it's kind of an old lake bed. There's a lake there, and I think it's, I don't think it's in floodplain or anything, but it is landlocked.
Do we know who owns the property around it?
Yes, there's we do have an offer, I'll get into that in a minute, from a group. It's a something Cowgirls or Ladies or something. I'm trying to think. It's a corporation, and they said they made an offer through an attorney, and they made an offer on the property, and they own all that around it. And it looks like they're using it. If you really zoom in on Google Earth, it looks like somebody's like plowing it and stuff, which I guess that's technically wrong, but we can't get to it to mow it either. So anyway, that's a little background on the property. And so the first step, if we decide to move forward, is the spot survey. It's drafted and ready for y'all's approval at the next meeting if y'all want to move forward. DOE has informally looked at this and says it's approvable if y'all approve it. So they help us draft these things so that they'll approve it once y'all approve it. So
Your last slide, what did it say about the owner? Was it the original? The owner of the surrounding property has expressed interest in purchasing this land?
yes, ma'am.
Oh, not the,
Right, not the original.
not the family.
Yeah, the Jacksons, it's on the deed there. The Jacksons is who we bought it from. I don't know. Sounds to me like $1 in 1906 might have been a lot of money too, though, but it's a lot more than it is now. But
And then, do you have a ballpark figure of the price?
of what it's worth, yes, ma'am. I'm going to get to that for sure. At least what the tax assessor says and what our offer is. The resolution, that's also, like I said, that would be the next step if y'all approve the ed plant survey. And then the charter schools. So our council has, the way the statute's kind of worded, it says is we have to offer it to charter schools like we offer it to other schools in the district. We have not offered it to other schools in the district because it's landlocked and it's located near an old lake bed. And I have some stuff from Ms. Mokler with that it's kind of like we're not going to offer it to any schools because it's not usable for education. That's kind of why we're here. So, yes, sir.
Yeah, I looked it over. I agree with that opinion.
Thank you. So the next step after that would be the appraisals. State law requires on a purchase of property. So if we're going to buy property that's over $500,000 by law, we have to have 2 appraisals. A lot of other districts we talk to, they get 2 appraisals, and they use the average of those 2 to establish the market value for the property. Being this is our first rodeo with this in quite a while, we don't really have a process set. We're all ears on how y'all would like to do that. But in my opinion, if you'll see here, the property tax assessor has valued this at $44,200.
That falls well below the 500,000. So
Yes, sir.
2 appraisals are not required.
And then really technically because we're selling, they're not required. That's only for purchasing. So we don't have to do that. In my opinion, we just got I think y'all approved the real estate appraisers last board meeting. Just say average of $4,000 in appraisal. We get 1 is $4,000, so that knocks our profit down. And then we get another one, and it would have to increase the value by at least 10% to just pay for itself. So 1. So in my opinion, I think 1 would suffice.
What did the Cowgirls offer?
They offered $10,000. So that's kind of why I guess I can go to the next slide. The best method to dispose of this, we have this offer here. We can negotiate with them and just try to get them to come to where we want to go. We can do
How much are the taxes on it?
we don't pay taxes on any of our property.
So for that, even though we're not using it for school or anything, it's just, yeah. So I don't know. I think to sell it for that cheap, I'd rather hold on to it. there's nothing, it's not hurting anything, then just give it away.
Yeah, but
I
can
think
see-
it says the estimated tax is 419. It says savings, estimated tax savings.
I think if we could get
That-
40,000 for it.
Would that be
worth it.
approximate amount of tax?
I don't
We
know.
don't
I
have to
I
pay that
honed in
now,
on
right?
that value of 44.2. I'm assuming that's the value, their value of the property. It's what it looked like to me.
That's a lot of,
So,
for 1 acre, that's a lot of money.
well, some of them are wanting 150,000 an acre, so.
I know, but this is landlocked.
I know too, yeah,
So-
I agree.
How
So,
how many other people actually want to buy this?
right, well, that was back to my point on this, in this particular case, the number of buyers is going to be limited, so, a value of hiring a realtor and putting a sign up and trying to sell it's
Yeah.
kind of, it's like, unless
you
somebody
counter-
knows something
how-
we don't, there's all on it or something,
Yeah.
I mean,
You'd have to counter offer with them.
right.
Does the same people own all of the property around this 1 acre, the same group?
Yes, ma'am, the best I can tell.
So it's of no benefit really except to them.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I would say definitely counter.
Cowgirl and something association.
You've heard of them?
Yes, I have. I've heard of them. They're pretty. It's they're affiliated with the Cowboy
Church?
Association that puts on events for kids that teach them how to rope and how to steer and all that stuff, and they're associated with it. They've been around for a long time. I don't remember the exact name. My wife was a member for a little while, so believe it or not.
Can you give us who owns it?
Yes, ma'am. Jim's going to pull it up. If you'll go to the file, there's
Thank
their
you.
offer letters in the file. But while he's doing that, is other properties we would the superintendent would determine, or y'all could instruct us however you want to do it with, realtor, private sale, public auction, or public bid process. There's several methods of
If anyone was
disposing.
going to get it, I would like to see it go to the property owners that it's surrounding it.
Yes, ma'am. I think that makes the most sense.
It does, but you should negotiate a price.
Right,
I mean, and you can't sell it until we know what the price would be.
right.
So
That's why the appraisals, even though it's going to cost us,
it's
but
appraised at 44, so something closer to 44 than 10 would be appealing.
yeah, that's the tax assessor's value, which they couldn't really go look at. I don't know how they came up with that, but nonetheless, an appraisal, $3,500. If we can get closer to,
So if we don't have access to the property, how would we have an appraiser go out and appraise it? Just from pictures and measurements?
I guess so, they would use that and just location and comparables. I don't know, how they would.
Well,
Wouldn't
do
there
we-
have to be an easement to
Do,
the property?
do we want to do an appraisal? We don't have to do an
Can we just
appraisal.
do a counter and see what happens?
You don't have to do an appraisal if you don't want to.
If the
Yeah.
appraisal is 4,000 and the offer is 10, that doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense.
I think-
mean,
No.
the math's not mathing for
Yeah,
me.
unless the appraisal says it's worth the 40 something, then,
Well, that's not out
it's
of, that's
supposed
not
to be
out
in
of
the best
line.
interest of the public, so, I mean,
That wouldn't be out of line if it wasn't sitting in the middle of everybody else's property and
Right.
it wasn't landlocked.
Why don't you see if you make an offer to them for, say, 25 and see if they buy it? If they buy
See
that.
what they come
If
back
wanna-
at.
we gotta do these other processes first, but we can offer whatever y'all wanna offer, but
I wouldn't advise putting any money towards it. I agree with Mr. Pender.
It's under my threshold for spending, so.
did you find that, Jim? I think it's these letters here.
It may be
Mr. Myers,
it
sorry.
may be worthwhile to find out how the property appraiser's office came up with 44,000. Or they have no access to the property. How'd they come up with that number? Because there's a big difference between a $44,000 appraisal and a $10,000 offer.
Yeah, but wouldn't there have to be an easement to the property, even if it's landlocked?
You would think.
So somewhere there's an easement that probably hasn't been used or put in place. It just makes sense, but why would you want to, put a road through somebody else's property?
Property,
if we
right.
didn't have to.
Mrs. Bonsick?
And what could you possibly do with 1 acre as a school district besides maybe store some garbage on it? I don't know. Like,
And there's a lake on it.
yeah,
Also,
what are you going to do with it? So it's better off we get rid of that.
Mrs. Duvall.
I think we do need to sell it. Yes, Mark, you can have an easement. Someone could buy it. And then you have to go through a title company, and they have to do all the research on past owners to see what kind of easements were ever, if any, put into place by previous owners of surrounding land, because this property, while it may have a contiguous piece of property around it, probably hasn't been that way since 1906.
Well,
It's
And if we sell it to the Cowgirls, whatever that full name is, we wouldn't have to do that because they own the surrounding property.
Right.
It would just be absorbed. So if we can get a decent offer from them, we could consider it and be done with this.
Mr. Myers.
Just a question, if I may. Didn't you say there's some activity going on that property?
It looked like from Google Earth, because I wasn't
Right.
going to get shot going out there. But anyway, it looked like it had been plowed, like the whole place had been plowed. And if you did the little square that y'all saw, more current image, it looked like, or a latter image somewhere through the time history, you could see where they had just plowed over it. And the company's name is Cowgirl Company 1 LLC.
So basically, most likely they're using our land anyway.
Sounds like it.
Right.
They've cleared,
They probably have animals.
exactly. So, I mean,
Really, it should go to them. So I would just negotiate and see what they're willing to pay.
Okay.
Okay.
So
They could argue they have constructive possession of it anyway because they've been operating it, if they have, for a long time.
But at this moment, though, we have $1.
Don't add that in, Mr. Myers.
We have $1 invested.
No, they cannot.
So no matter what we get, we're ahead of the.
That's right. We own it. All right. Any further discussion? If not,
just
thank you.
closing up the last steps here was once we didn't negotiate this, the money would we'd have a closing. That's something we need to negotiate too with them. It's who's going to pay the closing costs. If it's $10,000 and we have to pay the attorney fees and all of that, then we
No,
may
they
not.
have to.
I would have them pay all closing
Cash
costs.
offer.
cash only.
Yeah, cash
Yeah.
only.
Eliminates closing costs.
Okay.
Down to
and,
like-
and we have a staff attorney.
if it's not cash only,
We
then
don't
they
want to
pay all
incur
closing costs.
We don't want to incur any charges.
Right.
Right.
We've already
So-
incurred $1.
Okay.
Right. Well, that's all we're incurring, no more.
All right,
Okay.
thank
And-
you.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Bachler will be
All right.
to help you.
All right, we're going to move on now to item number 4 on the agenda, 26-3552, presentation of the Hernando County School District Artificial Intelligent Implementation. Jesse Diaz, welcome. I hope you're going to use AI to present. Good.
Not exactly. This is not the right one. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, Madam Board Chair, board members, Superintendent Pinder, thank you for the opportunity to share how our district has approached the implementation of artificial intelligence, or AI, for teaching and learning, as well as the next steps we're taking as we move forward. Artificial intelligence has become one of the most discussed topics in education, with districts across the country encouraged to take proactive steps to ensure safe, responsible, and secure use. AI offers transformative potential for teaching and learning enabling personalized instruction, efficient data analysis, and innovative classroom practices. However, its integration must be carefully managed to protect student privacy, uphold academic integrity, and comply with state and federal regulations. Hernando County School District has approached AI implementation with a dual focus: caution and forward thinking. This means we are not only safeguarding against risks such as plagiarism, copyright infringement, and misuse of student data, but also positioning ourselves to leverage AI responsibly for future instructional advancements. By establishing clear guidelines, training staff, and aligning with state-level initiatives, the district demonstrates leadership in navigating this evolving landscape. Our commitment ensures that AI tools are used ethically, enhance learning rather than replace it, and support the district's mission and goals. This presentation will outline the platforms currently in use, the policies governing their application, and the measures taken to maintain compliance and security. So let's talk about what we currently have, what we're using, what's allowed, and such. So the district has defined clear parameters for AI use across usage across staff and students. For staff, platforms such as Microsoft Copilot and Canva AI are provided, along with Conmigo for teachers serving grades 6 through 12. Staff may also use other reputable AI models, provided they adhere to district standards for protecting personally identifiable information, or PII. For students, access is tiered by grade level. So grades 9 through 12 have access to Copilot and Canva AI. Grades 6 through 12 can use Conmigo as well. And grades K through 8 can use Canva AI under monitored conditions per district guidance. This structured approach ensures that AI tools are integrated in a controlled manner, supporting learning objectives while maintaining compliance with privacy and safety standards. By limiting student access to vetted platforms, the district minimizes risks associated with unauthorized or inappropriate AI use. These measures reflect our commitment to balancing innovation with responsibility, ensuring that AI serves as a supplement to traditional learning rather than a shortcut that undermines educational integrity. I'm doing both things, so I'm a little bit. Data privacy, usually there's another person here that'll do this piece. Compliance and agreements. Okay, so we're gonna talk about the agreements that we sign and that we have in place to protect our students' data. Protecting students and staff data is a top priority in AI implementation. The district ensures compliance with state and federal regulations, including 6A 10955 and SOI PIPA. For platforms like Canva AI, signed security and data privacy agreements are in place as required. Other tools such as Microsoft Copilot do not require additional agreements because they fall under existing compliance frameworks. Staff receive explicit guidance on handling PII across all online platforms, including AI tools, through board policies and staff handbooks. These policies emphasize that entering student information into unapproved platforms is strictly prohibited, reducing liability and safeguarding sensitive data. By maintaining rigorous standards and transparent protocols, the district ensures that AI adoption does not compromise security or violate privacy laws.
Mr. Diaz, I have a question.
Yes, and stop me whenever
That's
you
fine. So are they receiving training, or repeat that again? You said in the handbook and our board policy, well, are they actually having some PD training on this as well? Professional development, or at the beginning of each school year, midway
Yes.
through?
It has been offered during summer, and at the schools it's also offered, but it really depends a lot on site administration. So if they request it, it happens. My team
But
does
it's not
have
required, right?
Not at the moment. Not at the moment. However, it's in policy, so it's it's not like they don't have guidance. It is in our policy, but that is one of those areas that we have a task force that is going to be working on that particular issue.
What,
Even at the beginning of the school year, if, they just do a quick little thing as a
Correct.
welcome back and a
Yes.
refresher would
That's
be
currently in talks right now as
beneficial.
part of those, and onboarding, for example, for new employees as well.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, sorry.
what, if you're relying on an agreement that somebody signs, I think we have a problem. How do you stop a student or a faculty member from using a program that's not approved on a machine and bringing it into the school and then infecting our system? So if I wanted to use ABC AI, which is not approved and it's made by the Chinese, just for an example, out of nowhere, and it comes in with a virus, how are we going to stop that from infecting our system? How are we going to guarantee that our equipment, our computers that the kids take or have use of, doesn't become infected when they go home and start playing with ABC because it's a game and it's artificial intelligence? That's the only issue I have with it. I like the idea. I learned a lot at the last FSBA conference. I happen to think it's a good tool to use. I think it's going to be part of the future. Con has a great program. I'm not against it. What I worry about is how do we keep our system and keep its integrity and it from getting compromised by some student doing something nefarious, whether it's intentional or unintentional, through a ABC AI, and I'm making that name up, of course.
Right.
Because if they just sign an agreement, I won't do it, it ain't going to happen.
What safety nets do you have in place?
Okay, so let me
think is what
visit
he's
the regarding the signed agreements. The signed agreements are between us and the third parties. It's not a parent signing an agreement. It's, for example, Canva or these different applications that we have. They sign a data security agreement, which means they have to guarantee that they're going to treat our data securely. They're not going to sell it. They're not going to, misuse it. Now,
Is that what you mean, Mr. Johnson, by CanMigo and those different companies?
yeah, they all have.
No, what I'm referring to is more that we have computers that some students get that are our machines. And they take them and they go home, they play with the program, my example, ABC AI at home, and then they come into school with their project and they present it. It gets into our system, and it's a nefarious program that they use to obtain information. How are we going to trip up that virus and keep our system?
We do have safety nets on the computers.
Yes,
such-
and we have to. For example, what I mentioned before, SOP, IPA, there's FERPA, COPA, all of these laws require that we have systems in place. For example, Content Keeper. That is our system for blocking anything that it detects as being viruses.
Virus.
Now, nothing is 100% secure, nothing. Stuff can always happen. However, you would be surprised how many things we block every single day. Just ask Jeremy.
Mr. Pender?
How many things are blocked every day?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think those are two different kind of issues. The AI, I mean, it could be AI
course.
program, but it could be any program. And we do have those safety nets within our system
Absolutely.
that blocks or combats them if they,
Yes.
because we've had kids for years that take their school computer home
Correct.
and bring it back. So there are things in place that catch those, all the.
And I would assume we have AI detection programs, so if a student uses AI in an essay, it'll pop up and say, hey, this is AI generated.
You'd probably
another
have to put it
topic
into
now.
AI
Right. Right. That's-
for them to detect it.
Yeah.
Right. But regarding the systems to keep us safe, it's required by statute and federal laws, so we have to have these things in
Wouldn't you
place.
say it's the same implementation that we've been using all these years?
To some degree, yes, because it's internet-based, it's web-based.
Yeah.
So we have to protect student information no matter
And it's
what.
worked so far.
Yes, and we have a good system, and again, if you were to talk with TIS, we are attacked every single day from many different places, and we've been able to do a good job, I think, keeping all of our information safe.
We continue.
Thank you. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about training and guidance, which is one of those areas that I was asked about a second ago, right? Professional learning, what have we done so far? So since 2022, so we didn't start talking about AI the other day. Since 2022, Hernando County schools have provided continuous professional learning opportunities and highlighting AI protocols and best practices. These include site-based trainings, summer workshops, and digital resources such as the Digital Citizenship Guidance and dedicated Canvas courses for staff, which they have access to. Training emphasizes ethical AI use, copyright compliance, and strategies to prevent plagiarism. Staff are informed about potential liabilities, including the importance of adhering to intellectual property standards. By embedding AI into ongoing professional development, the district ensures that teachers are equipped to integrate AI responsibly and effectively. And I'm gonna stop you for a second. So what that means is that when we do a training regarding, let's say, one of the applications that we want teachers to use at the school, or if the principals are asking us to, I want you guys to bring a training on this or that topic, we have been embedding AI, making sure that within the topics, there's always somewhere, almost all of these applications are integrating AI in one way or another, so it leaves an open door for us to tell them, and remember, this is how you stay safe, but I do agree that there needs to be something, perhaps something that is more structured in the beginning of the school year that everyone signs off on, and that's one of those things.
Training.
Absolutely.
We need
Absolutely.
mandatory training.
Agreed. This approach not only mitigates risks, but also empowers educators to leverage AI tools to enhance instruction, improve accessibility, and support diverse learning needs. Continuous updates and reinforcement of these practices reflect our commitment to staying ahead of emerging trends and maintaining a culture of informed, ethical technology use. To that point, regarding making it something more formal, and I was going to mention this at the end, but I can mention now that an AI task force has been established that is going to be looking at our current policy and then establishing a framework with broader guidance, aligned with that policy. And it has student representation, parent representation, faculty, admin. It's composed of 15 to 16 people, and we're going to be looking at how we can then make a recommendation. See, because for example, establishing something that's obligated or required, it goes above my department.
Right.
We would have to have HRs, and we are going to have an HR representative on this task force that then can say, okay, this is what we recommend now to go forward with these ideas. So that's where we currently are now. We're going to have our first meeting next week.
I had a parent reach out because she was invited to the committee, and I thought that was a great idea. So,
Wonderful.
Thank you.
That's great. Okay. Let's talk about the policy for a minute. So our policy is 754008. This policy underscores the positive impact AI can have when aligned with our mission and operational integrity. It mandates that all AI use complies with state and federal guidelines and relevant board policies, including, but not limited to, academic honesty, or 5505, student conduct, 5500, and internet safety, 754003. Student use of AI tools for completing schoolwork without teacher consent is strictly prohibited and considered plagiarism. Teachers may authorize AI use for specific purposes such as research, assistance, which is here, data analysis, language translation, writing support, and accessibility enhancements. These permissions ensure that AI serves as a supplement to learning rather than a replacement for critical thinking and problem-solving skills. Violations of the policy carry disciplinary consequences for both students and staff, reinforcing accountability. By articulating clear expectations and consequences, the district promotes ethical AI use and safeguards academic integrity, ensuring that technology enhances rather than undermines educational outcomes. And this is part of this task that the task force is going to have, making more explicit examples of what the board policy is. Sometimes it's a little bit vague in some of the things, so we want to enhance that.
When
Mr.
you
Johnson.
complete this study, are you going to bring this back so we can adopt a new policy and enforce it?
Well, the task force is not changing the policy. It's going to create a side-by-side framework for guidance. So it'll
I
be.
would like that incorporated in policy, so it's written in stone, so they know if they violate it, they're going to receive certain punishments, and they'll know what they can and can't do.
Mr.
I'd
Pender.
rather see that incorporated into our work rather than just a procedure.
Usually policies are more broad and then the procedures align with the policy.
Correct.
And the procedure is with a work group. We can bring the procedures back to the board
Oh,
for
absolutely.
informational, but it's not,
The framework.
doesn't necessarily have to be approved by the board because it's a procedure.
I think this is too important not to be approved by the board. You're talking about something that's going to have a great impact both on the learning and an impact, God forbid, somebody does something wrong on what we do as a district. I think it's too important not to have the board approve the policies on this.
Well, if I bring it back as an informational item and I have consensus moving forward,
Right.
is that, I mean, I'll ask.
Right.
We can get some clarification on that, but I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if
Mr.
Robert
Myers.
is able to.
Well, I mean, generally speaking, as the superintendent said, I mean, the policy sets forth the parameters, the procedures explain that, and I think given AI, and all the new terms that are out there, I think that the procedures will offer the guidance you need to, implement the policy or interpret the policy. So does the board need to actually approve the policies? I don't think so. But I think it would be helpful if you agreed that those policies made sense. But at the end of the day, I think it's really up to the superintendent to say these procedures are adequate to explain the policy.
And I, of course, don't have a problem bringing the procedures back from the
Yeah.
committee and then the
Framework.
board saying, having a discussion and saying that that
Yeah, I don't think, I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't think you want to incorporate the procedures into the policy because it muddies the policy.
Right. And
But you
that's the
should have
guidance.
input as to whether or not those procedures adequately explain the policy.
Okay.
And that's the guidance that I've received as well. I sit on a statewide AI task force, kind of like the one we're creating here for the district. And this is what the guidance that we received at one of our last meetings was that many districts, because the policy usually is so broad, they have been recommending that there be a framework, kind of like a side-by-side, that gives them more guidance as to when it says here, this disciplinary action, because usually what it'll do, it goes all the way to the end, the ultimate consequence, right, up to expelling. But what about before all of that? That's where then our own framework could give more guidance.
Okay. So I think some of the board would like
Absolutely.
that to just
For us
be
to bring-
presented after the
Absolutely, to
committee.
bring the framework back
Yes.
to you when the committee's done with it, the task force. Absolutely.
Right, Ms. Rodriguez?
I think you're definitely on the right track. We have to. Our students have to have this exposure because it continues to impact all the jobs and economics, and it's the learning. It's what's happening. So we can't be behind on it. But in the next breath, we have to safeguard these students because that's essential.
Agreed.
And I think that you're on top of all of that. It's not going to replace our amazing teachers. It's just going to come
way.
along and it's going to enhance the planning, the lessons, as long as we ensure safety and continue to use ethical use by the students. I think it's a good thing moving forward. I don't really think there's anything stopping us from doing this. I think Mr. Johnson's wanting to make sure, like you said, the safety net.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and if he's putting together a framework to go side by side with the policy, the framework should be broad enough where that might want to be incorporated into the policy, because now we're setting a broader type of structure where, okay, do this and whatever it is, at least we can outline it. And I'm not saying get into the weeds with it. I'm saying in broad strokes.
Pender, Mr. Pender?
I think the other way that it comes to the board for approval is if this framework is for an employee and it's in the employee handbook. The employee handbook comes to the board for approval.
Correct.
If it's students, it's in the student progression plan. That comes for approval. So I think there is the mechanism there for the board to approve or deny the frameworks ultimately through those channels. And like I said, Jesse will bring it once they develop it for informational
Absolutely.
purposes to share with the board too. So I think you get what you want.
Yeah, and I think it's more because it's a brand-new area. I think we need to really understand and set the parameters of this framework, or at least approve them, because it's brand new to all of us. It's brand new to everybody in this room, including Jesse.
Mr. Myers?
The only thing I was going to say, there may be something in the procedures that would necessitate or be advantage to amend the policy. There could be something in there that you feel so strongly about, you'd want to actually put it in the policy, and you can always amend the policies.
Absolutely.
Ms.
I
Rodriguez?
think that a lot of times the tension that's happening between the AI and people wanting to really start using it, implementing it, is it's between the students using it to enhance their learning versus overuse.
Correct.
Which is why that ethical use is so important.
Absolutely, and that's why we've released it in tiered ways where not all students have access to it, at least on our devices. Remember, we cannot control other devices from outside or phones or whatnot, but on our devices, we have it tiered, and they're supposed to have access to what we're allowing access. And one of the things that was important to me was also that, that the board is aware that we have been, working with this. It's one of those things that we did not want to fall behind. I can tell you there are districts that have fallen behind that are working right now on creating policy, and we've had ours adopted since January 14, 2025. Now, granted, we had help from Neola, but that's why we get ahead. That's what we're doing. And we have this policy that gives guidance. We're working on the framework now, but our teachers know that if they're using AI, if students are using it, it's supposed to be for research assistance, data analysis, language translations. We've got, how is it supposed to be used? Some kind of guidance so that we don't have a wild, wild west as far as AI goes.
Would the plagiarism and any of that to set in place?
To some degree, it falls under what we call digital citizenship. However, and we have been talking about digital citizenship and enhancing and broadening it, because now there's just more ways, to try to get away with something. So most definitely, as we continue to go forward, we have to continue to emphasize and make sure they're aware of their responsibility of using this technology, just like the web, just like using the internet. Use it responsibly.
And I think teacher training is key district-wide.
Definitely.
So
And the teachers training their students too, because it just becomes a norm with these kids with using AI, and then,
Maybe we could
May
do
not
it the
even
other way.
realize.
The students train us,
well, that's true. Mr.
help
Pender,
us.
you have anything further?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, when you brought up plagiarism, academic honesty, those are separate policies.
Yes.
And in our pupil progression plan,
Correct.
They're in the code of conduct.
in the code of
there too.
conduct.
Yes.
it's already
And-
what we follow daily.
Yeah, and
Correct.
it's just that AI is another tool
Absolutely.
that can or cannot violate those areas. So it branches, even though it's not a separate policy, it goes into our other policies.
And they need to be enumerated quite definitively so they know what to do.
I have to say our teachers are pretty good about picking up on that AI.
You know,
Writing
well, there is
Chat GPT, writing papers and stuff.
there
They are pretty good about.
there is
It's
a
plagiarized.
plagiarism programs out there that can be purchased that will pick it up.
Okay. And this goes without saying, we'll continue to review and revise as necessary.
Absolutely.
That's going to be something ongoing.
Yes, absolutely. And those other policies that were that Mr. Pinder mentioned, they are all referenced in that policy. So they all tie and make reference to these other policies that are also in place. But like you have mentioned, we have always had to be careful with plagiarism. However, now there's a new layer which we need to enhance the information that we're providing. For example, now a student could say, give me something with Mickey Mouse, right? And Mickey Mouse belongs to Disney. and these kinds of things. So now that's why we have to make sure that we have the right tools that won't allow that. And that's why we're using tools that are authorized and not just they can just get on anything. See, there's new ways that we have to be prepared to deal with this technology that can do these things.
Right. All right, you may move on.
Yes, ma'am. Risk awareness and mitigation. So AI platforms increasingly incorporate mechanisms to detect copyrighted material, which we were just talking about, and may alert users or block content that appears to violate copyright. To avoid the risk of consequences for copyright infringement, the district provides staff with comprehensive copyright best practices through board policies and digital citizenship guidance, which we already have, that exists. Professional learning sessions reinforce intellectual property standards and emphasize the importance of ethical content creation. Additionally, teachers are trained to avoid entering student information into unapproved online platforms. This is not new. Reducing exposure to data breaches and legal liabilities. These measures reflect a proactive approach to risk management, ensuring that AI integration does not compromise compliance or accountability. How are we staying future ready? Hernando County School District is committed to leading AI initiatives in Florida by actively engaging in state-level discussions and task forces. Membership in the Florida K-12 AI Education Task Force ensures that the district remains informed about emerging guidance, best practices, and legislative developments. This involvement enables us to anticipate changes, align policies with state standards, and advocate for resources that support responsible AI integration. Our vision is to position Hernando as a forward-thinking district that leverages technology to enhance learning while safeguarding students and staff. By combining local action with statewide collaboration, we demonstrate leadership and readiness to adapt to the evolving educational landscape. Hernando County School District has taken deliberate, proactive steps to implement AI responsibly. From defining approved platforms and securing data privacy agreements to providing ongoing training and establishing clear policies, we have ensured that our approach aligns with state guidance and ethical standards. Risk mitigation strategies address copyright and data security concerns, while our engagement at the State AI Task Force level positions us for future success. To further strengthen this work, a district-level AI task force with staff, parent, student, and community representation has been established to conduct a deep review of our board-adopted AI policy and develop a supporting framework to reinforce understanding, consistency, and implementation across the district. As AI continues to evolve, we will maintain vigilance, update practices, and lead with innovation. Our goal is simple: to harness AI's potential to enrich education while protecting the integrity and safety of our learning environment. Questions and feedback are welcome as we continue this important work.
Thank you. Board
And
members?
I do have a thank you slide.
Nice. Thank you.
If you have
Any further questions, Ms. Rodriguez?
I say kudos, Mr. Diaz.
Thank you.
For this technology and being proactive in bringing this plan forward.
Thank
We
you.
look forward to hearing from your task force.
Yes, ma'am.
And great job with your thank you slide.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted to touch on something Mark had said earlier about, like, if we ever were to devise something with the coins or any of that he had mentioned, giving it out to, like, teachers, like the custodians, the lunch staff, that would be for everybody. Is that what you were referring to?
Yeah, we're allowed, it's in the statute, to give out tokens of appreciation to employees, whether it's teachers or other staff. All we have to do is have one made and hand each. We could do it any way we wanted. We could give each board member one a month. You could give each board member 10 of them, and they're yours for the year, however we wanted to do it. and show our individual appreciation.
I had just thought about that earlier because it came to me, like thinking of the custodians, the lunch staff, and all.
Right, it'd be great to include everybody,
Yeah.
not just teachers.
Agreed.
Anybody
Right.
you felt was deserving.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to number 5, item 26-3560, informational insight and summary of who we play for agreement. Mr. Kopchik.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, board members, Superintendent Pinder. How we doing? I kind of wanted to start out in your packet, says Florida Second Chance Act summary, and just give you a little bit of background, be very brief. Essentially, this is a new state mandate that is coming on board July 1 for all incoming ninth graders, student athletes, to have a EKG, ECG, people call it different things, before an EKG screening before they can participate in athletics. That's anything, lift a weight, stretch, run, anything. It's going to be a part of the athletic registration process. So again, that's only incoming ninth graders. And then the other piece to this is anybody that is new to the FHSAA sports. So someone transfers from Connecticut, or maybe it's a 10th grader that hasn't played and then wants to come out for golf as a junior. Those types of things. Those are the people, those are the kids that are trying to capture at this moment. Now that could change. There's some rumbling talking about this is going to be a requirement for every 2 years to do this, regardless of where you are in that. But right now, the way it's written and the way it's being implemented, and per FHSAA policy, it's going to be incoming ninth graders and anybody that is new to FHSAA athletics.
So for parents' knowledge, it would not be voluntary?
Correct. There is an exemption. There's a couple different types of exemptions, but the FHSAA has literally like a couple days ago, put out some forms for a medical exemption. I believe there's a religious exemption as well. And those would have to be turned in and on file and a part of their registration packet in place of that EKG form, which is going to be called an EL1.
Why would we not want to do this for all the athletes? I mean,
so yes, I agree with you. This is something, you're jumping ahead a little bit, but I would absolutely, this is something as far as our agreement with who we play for, this is going to be available to everybody. But as far as the state mandate goes, so that's who we're trying to capture first and foremost. That's who we're pushing it towards initially.
Incoming freshmen and any student who's never played a sport before that's past the freshman age.
Correct.
That is going to.
That's the mandate.
That's going to engage in a sport, they have to have it.
Correct. And then to Mr. Johnson's point, just that's the long and short of it, right? As far as the Second Chance Act. So this is why we're doing this, right? I just wanted you to understand why we're getting into this partnership with who we play for. And obviously we're going to be pushing it out and really trying to capture as many of those incoming ninth graders and those newbies to Florida high school athletics. But this partnership with who we play for is going to be available to any student, not just student athletes. Anyone that would like to get an EKG screening, they can go at these different events that we're going to be having, and I'll explain those in a second. It is $20 to the student, to the family, and they're able to get the EKG screening, and then it is read by a pediatric cardiologist.
So that does not include the physical, that's just additional to
Correct.
physical.
Correct, yeah.
Have you seen any other districts implementing this?
Yes. So there have been several. The two that come to mind that I actually have a good relationship with, their district ADs, are Seminole and Volusia. They've been doing this for about 4 or 5 years, kind of preemptively. It's something that people in their district felt strongly about. Maybe they just saw the writing on the wall that it was coming. But nevertheless, they've partnered with who we play for and have had it's been,
What have they
by all accounts, it's been really, really successful.
Actually started up near the Panhandle. This started with one of the board members' sons. I don't know if you remember meeting her, Ms. Rodriguez. His name was actually Chance, and he had a heart attack on the field and passed away. And so she started advocating for this. So their town was the first one, I guess, to implement it. And she said that she had like a whole list of students or percentage of students that they found with heart issues just in her own town.
Yeah, roughly it's, according to who we play for, it's about 1 in 300.
And I know the story behind it. I think it's
Yeah.
Definitely
it's
worthwhile.
beautiful.
Yeah, so this is a partnership. It's no cost to the district. We're going to be rolling out information literally probably by the end of the week. I was waiting to have this meeting with you all, just so you kind of informed of why we're doing it and what we're doing. And it's going to start off in the middle school, so we'll actually have days. We're looking at the end of March, beginning of April, and each middle school will have a day. Who we play for will come in for about a 3 or 4 hour period. Parents can register electronically with their kids. We get a printout of who's registered and paid, and they come in and they cycle them through these EKGs. They say it take 2 to 5 minutes, and we just roll them through.
I also noticed in the agreement, it says if the family can't afford it, it'd be provided free.
Correct. No one is
It's not going
turned
to be a
down.
financial hardship on anybody.
Do you know if the like the pediatrician office are normal? They're not?
So this is
Next
another
question.
reason why we decided to go in this direction. I spoke specifically with Dr. Gower, Dr. Kellen Gower. He's not a pediatrician, but he's a big sports guy, really, really strong sports medicine background, and is a primary care physician in our area with Millennium Physicians Group. He was one of our partners in spearheading getting athletic trainers. So I always lean on him, and I also lean on Dr. Ward, Jen Ward, a lot when it comes to different things in our area in the medical field. And both of them were like, Dustin, we don't have the capacity to do this. No one has these things. The places where people mostly get their physicals are chiros and pediatricians. They don't carry these. I'm sure a lot of the urgent cares do, but the pediatricians and the chiros do not carry them.
So
yep.
is it going to cost us for who we play, the agreement, or is
It
a
is.
cost
It is
to
no
the
cost to
district?
the district. It's placed on the families for $20, which, from what I understand, is very reasonable. The state's mandate, request, whatever you want to call it, says it has to be under 50. So we're well under that, and so yeah, we're going to capture as many of those incoming ninth graders as possible at these middle school events, and then we'll have 2 additional kind of district-wide events, if you will, probably at 2 of the high schools, one on the east side, one on the west side, probably on a Saturday, and try to get anybody else that we can. And then we got to see where we're at after that. We may need to have another event, or maybe we bring them in to the high schools, or we'll continue to work with who we play for to capture kind of those one-offs. I was also speaking with Dr. Dahmer, Family Chiro. He seems to have a couple connections as well that we could maybe pick a couple of these one-offs off if we needed to.
Yeah, he does an event, back-to-school event.
He-
usually, and it gives
yes.
backpacks and whatnot. There's 2 of them that go on that are quite large in the county. That'd be an excellent time.
I'm glad you brought that up, because he said that he's had discussions with who we play for, because Pasco is also partnering with them to implement this process, and he said that he was already kind of in the works of having them come to that event. So I'll step in as well, and now that this is kind of more official, we can kind of talk about that amongst the 3 parties, so to speak, and get us all collaborating and knock out as many as we can, because that's a great event. I agree. I appreciate Dr. Dahmer doing all that for our community. But yeah, it is. I agree. I think this is a great thing. It is going to be another thing, right? It's another thing that ADs are going to have to track down and keep track of, and I'm sure there's going to be some back and forth, because there's going to be, from what I understand, there's basically like 3 levels that they get. You're clear, cautionary, we need to get further looked at, or, oh my goodness, stop what you're doing, you need to go to the doctor right now type of thing and get this checked out. So once those things, once their screenings go through, we'll have to, kind of go back and forth with the families they're in that yellow and red zone, and follow up and make sure they have the proper clearances before we can allow them to participate.
That's what I was going to ask. The next question is, what if it comes back and it shows some sort of anomaly, and then the parent doesn't have insurance?
Yes.
So then they cannot get it treated, or they do not want to continue with the care because of the price. Then what happens? Their student just no longer can play sports?
Unfortunately, yes. Yeah, that's it's very similar to the physical piece. The physical piece. If there's, we have kids, it's rare, but we do have kids that it require an additional clearance to like a cardiologist or an orthopedic or something along those lines. And if we don't get that extra clearance, they have to, we're just not allowed to let them participate.
So some parents that might not want it, the exemption is kind of like voluntary, wouldn't you say?
I mean,
They get an exemption?
they can get an exemption. I mean, there's exemptions for almost everything that the FHSA has, but
So if a parent does not want it and they get the exemption, that basically works like it's voluntary for the parent at that point.
Essentially, yes, as long as
But
they
it
go through the
leaves us-
proper paperwork.
It leaves us in basic clear if something happens and the
Yes.
kid drops dead on
Yes,
our field, which can happen
100%.
because, yeah,
Yeah, no, it's
Right.
kids have cardiac issues all the time, and parents don't realize until exactly what you just said.
well,
They
and
hit football and they're playing, and boom, they hit
right.
the ground.
You know, what's scary was kind of staggering to me was, again, according to who we play for, you know, a standard physical at a pediatrician is going to miss about 90% of those heart issues, whereas what they do, they claim captures 94%.
Well, yeah, an
So-
EKG is going to pick it up if
Mhm.
you
And-
have abnormal heart rate. And again, just like you said it, so if it comes in and it's abnormal, right? It's an
Mhm.
abnormal EKG.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to send him to a cardiologist. They're not going to
100%.
say,
No,
They're going to
no.
say, okay, if this doesn't come back normal, sinus rhythm, you're
Right.
going.
Well, and I also think it's extremely important that it's a pediatric cardiologist. What a 60-year-old's heart sounds like compared to a 16-year-old's heart is very different, and and a 16-year-old athlete's heart, nevertheless. So, that's really, really important. That was something that Dr. Ward and Dr. Gower really stressed, was the importance of a pediatric cardiologist because of all those factors. Because they were very concerned. He's like, don't get me wrong, we have cardiologists, but we don't have any pediatric cardiologists that are stationed in town.
Can
Yeah.
parents get their
Correct.
own?
Yes, they can. It just needs to be on the form. Now, that being said, like I said, literally days ago, they just came out with this form. It's the EL1 form. The physical is the EL2 form. That being said, they are good for 2 years. So if a parent got it, say, in December of 2025, and they have the documentation, they can attach it to that form, and it will be a part of the FHSA is allowing you to do that, within that 2-year window.
Because this is required by the state and has to do with medical, is this coming back before us to be approved at a meeting?
I don't believe so. It's a FHSA mandated thing, and again, no impact financially to the district. It'd be no different than them updating like a physical form or a consent form.
Yeah,
would
I
think.
signed the contract
Correct.
to work with them.
Right. Any other questions with that? And like I said, there's going to be a lot more information. I was kind of holding off until this meeting from us, also from who we play for. We're going to be putting out on a web, social media, Parent Square, the whole nine. So just getting the word out. And I would just really, really, again, you guys are in the community a lot, and hearing from different stakeholders, just really get them to understand that like they need to get on this. They need to get this done. The tryouts for fall sports start July 27th or 28th. Don't wait, because they're not going to be allowed to step foot in a gym, in a weight room, on the field, unless all of this paperwork is done. And especially this being the first year of it, like any first year in anything, there's going to be some bumps in the road, and there's going to be some log jams, I'm sure, with athletic directors going through paperwork. So we just need to make sure that we are getting it early and often. And that was also part of why we wanted to kind of jump on this and start getting these EKG screening days, if you will, into our middle school campuses, so that they're ready for summer and they're not having to worry about that moving into summer conditioning and lifting and tryouts and things of that nature.
Do they ever come into the school during the school, like beginning of school, in the actual school when school's in session? to do any of
Yes,
this?
that's what it's going to be.
It will be. Okay.
Yeah, they find that is the best way to capture who they need to capture and get the best bang for their buck, so to speak. Again, when I spoke with my counterparts in Volusia and Seminole, that's what they've been doing, and they've been able to get the overwhelming majority of people in and out and get done what they need to get done. So sometimes with these community events, it's on a Saturday, or it's at hours people can't get to, or whatever it may be, right? It's kind of, the kids are there, right? We got them trapped. That was their recommendation, and when I spoke to other county ADs, that was their recommendation as well.
Perfect. Ms. Bonzik, did you have anything else to add? I
I
apologize.
answered it when you asked the
Perfect.
question.
All right. Any further questions, board? Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Have a good afternoon.
You too. And this workshop is adjourned. I'm sorry, Mr. Myers, did you have any further comments?
No further comments.
Thank you. All right, and Mr. Pender? No? Okay. And this workshop is adjourned at 4:01 p.m.